The Hunt for America's Smartest Killer. This is the first video we're reacting to. Get it. Let's get it.
My motive for doing what I am going to do is simply personal revenge.
Mm-hmm.
I do not expect to accomplish anything by it. Lincoln, Montana.
How would you even go in a way of finding the smartest killer if they're the smartest killer? You know, like
1996.
How
This
would you even
cabin
do
is
it?
the chosen home of Theodore J. Kaczynski, more commonly known
We're gonna
as
find
the
out.
Unabomber.
Unabomber.
He's long been feared as America's smartest criminal, a serial bomber who's killed and wounded targets across the country with no clear connection. For 17 years, he's eluded the FBI. It's the largest, most expensive manhunt in the Bureau's history. He's the
17 years? Oh, he went live? 17 years for the government? He is really smart. He is
evil
really
genius
smart.
they simply can't catch.
Peace, Blair. Have a
Likely
good night.
history's most intellectual serial killer. He's terrorized the nation, instilling fear in Americans about opening their mail and getting on.
This was a guy. Oh, wait. This was a guy who was sending packages to people and it was blowing up in their face. Oh, I forgot that I remember that happened mad long ago. I remember hearing about it.
Planes. And he did it all from his cabin. Here is where he built his bombs, where he wrote his manifesto, and where he evaded capture for nearly 2 decades. It's where he turned from off-the-grid recluse to world-famous murderer. This cabin contains all the evidence the FBI will need to convict him. It's located deep in the Montana wilderness. Back in 1969, Ted moved here from California, where he left behind a shining career as a math professor at UC Berkeley. He wanted to get closer to nature.
So he had a good job and decided to bomb people. All right.
And far, far away from everyone who pisses him off, which is most people. He built this cabin with his brother, back when Ted still talked to him. It's got no electricity, no plumbing, just a wood stove, a bed, and a whole lot of books. Right now, Ted is building another bomb. They're meticulously crafted, and he's continuously improving his technique. Every year, they become more lethal. In fact, he's
It's crazy. It took him 17 years. 17 years.
This video is largely based on these 2 books. Links are in the description. We attribute the social and psychological problems of modern society to the fact that society requires people to live under conditions
Oh, Mindset
radically
Apart,
different
Chapter 1.
from those under which the human race evolved. Born in 1942, Ted grows up in a pretty average family in the suburbs of Chicago. They're working-class Polish Americans. His parents are politically progressive, bookish and intellectual, and really into the outdoors. They're strict but loving. At least, that's how they remember it. It becomes obvious at a young age that Ted is exceptionally gifted, so his parents push him to succeed. He skips 2 grades and easily aces
Oh, wow.
every class. He's a
Okay.
pretty normal kid for someone with an IQ of 168.
Wow.
Sure, Ted is quiet, shy around girls, and arrogant, but he has a core circle of friends and plenty of hobbies. Like his parents and brother, he loves playing music, reading, and camping. People like Ted. They'll later remember him as a sensitive, respectful kid.
Mm-hmm.
All that starts to change when Ted enrolls at Harvard University at just 16 years old. Like many college freshmen, Ted struggles to
16. Yo, this high. He had probably a good family. He is intellectual. He skipped 2 grades. He was a professor at the start. And he was at Harvard at 16 years old. But this man he had his life set and he decided to bomb. Bro. A good
adjust.
family too.
Here, he no longer feels like the smartest person in every room. And as a working-class kid thrown into the world of America's elite, he's a fish out of water. Other students and even faculty mock his shabby clothes and blue-collar background.
Oh, damn.
He's deeply bothered by their snobbery, pain that will follow him through life. Ted's also just really young, younger than almost everyone else on campus. As an adult, Ted will write his mother furious letters about this. He demands apologies for pushing him out of the house before he was ready. Ted becomes depressed, and his grades suffer.
Damn.
His classmates describe him as a total loner, moody, rude, and virtually mute. He's that guy on the dorm floor who only leaves his room to go to class, who ignores everyone else, who slams doors. There's a stench of rotting food wafting from his room. Ted doesn't know it yet, but his withdrawn and alienated demeanor has caught the eye of a psychology professor. Dr. Henry A. Murray is very famous, with an on-campus research center named after him. He's basically a god in the social sciences. Murray is looking out for particular types of students, those who will make excellent guinea pigs for an experiment. His final, most elaborate experiment, the capstone of a long and illustrious career. It also happens to be a CIA-funded project designed to cause extreme distress and break down the subject's sense of self.
So, his professor... So his professor's a mad scientist, and he probably did something to him to make him crazy. MK Ultra?
Clearly, we are in a position to do a great deal of damage, and it does appear that the FBI is not going to catch us anytime soon. The FBI is a joke.
Oh, damn.
It's the 1970s in San Francisco. The city is a hotbed of anti-government activity. There's outrage over the Vietnam War. Protest bombings are a regular occurrence. Explosions happen every week up through the mid-80s. The FBI dubs it the Belfast of North America. Radical far-left groups like the Weather Underground and the Symbionese Liberation Army claim credit for many of the bombings.
Okay.
So most of the cases are pretty straightforward in terms of understanding motive and perpetrator. But amidst all of this, the FBI's San Francisco bomb squad makes a shocking discovery. 12 mysterious, similarly built bombs can be linked to one elusive killer or group. They have next to nothing to go on. Just for whatever unknown reason, this string of explosives seems to target universities and airlines. Whoever is building these bombs is an expert crafter and careful to not leave any DNA behind. Not a hair, not a fiber. They're encased in beautiful handmade wooden boxes. There are no eyewitnesses to the bombings and no letters from organizations claiming credit. The victims appear to be scattershot.
She suffered powder burns and cut in her arms and the hands. Underwent. Sorry. Oh my God! I just burped crazy. Give me. Whoa. My bad. My bad. Damn.
Of random people. The unknown perpetrator is referred to by the code Unibomb for university and airline bomber. So far, his bombs have killed 1 person and injured 20 others across 5 different states.
Damn.
Unlucky recipient.
It's crazy because probably the reason why they have so much metal, but it's like, how did he get past metal detectors and stuff that go across planes, though? It doesn't make sense. How? How did they? How? It doesn't make sense. But back in the day, they probably didn't have a thing called, like, there was bombing stuff, so, you know, cause and effect. But damn.
So the Unabomber's early packages include a campus security guard, a handful of graduate students and professors, a secretary, an airline executive, and passengers on a flight from Chicago to DC. Some are injured quite badly. The first death is in 1985, Hugh Scruton, a guy who owned a computer store in Sacramento and was about to get married. What does he have to do with anything at all?
Exactly.
Far away in his
He's
cabin,
just a random
Ted
guy.
reads about his death and chuckles to himself. He hears that the FBI offers a $25,000 reward for any information. He's flattered. The Unabomber is making waves. Not bad for the actions of one man in a 10 by 12 foot shack with no electricity, running water, or phone service. Pretty hard to imagine now. These days, connection isn't optional. It's how we get around. Check in, look stuff up, call for help, or you even your first purchase. In his cabin, he's got everything he needs. Snowshoes, maps, a homemade chair, a cot, a typewriter, and hundreds of books. Scraps from junkyards and jars of chemicals for making his bombs. Binders and binders full of notes.
Wow.
All kinds of disguises for delivering the bombs, like wigs and sunglasses, and shoes with fake soles. It's crammed to the gills, but meticulously organized. At this point,
Okay, look. Sorry for pausing. How do you learn how to disguise yourself so good that you can hide out for 17 years? Because wouldn't they track, like when he goes to the place to deliver it to be able to order it, wouldn't they be able to track him like that? Like see where he went? That's what I'm like. That
the FBI has zero promising leads, and by the end of it all, they'll never actually find the perpetrator themselves. The bomber is always several steps ahead of them. They'll pursue thousands of dead ends, spend hundreds of thousands of taxpayer dollars, and pour countless man-hours into this case. They have no idea why he's targeting the people that he is, but the bombs are so precise, so well crafted. There's gotta be a motive, right? In 1987, there's
Salt Lake
finally a
City.
break in the case.
okay.
The Unabomber plants a package outside a Salt Lake City computer store, and a lady spots him. He's
Mm.
wearing a gray hoodie, sunglasses, and sporting a mustache.
Oh,
The
my
police
camera
create a
off.
sketch and post it all around the country. The bombings immediately stop, and for 5 years, nobody hears anything from the Unabomber.
Damn, he got caught
All
like
kinds
that?
of people call in with tips, but the leads go nowhere. The case pretty much goes cold, but the FBI know that it's only a matter of time before he'll strike again. They're sure he's using the time to perfect his bombs,
Okay.
and they're right. In his cabin, Ted is finessing his technique. The upcoming bombs will be a whole lot more lethal. But, as the world will soon find out, he is also busy writing. He doesn't just want his explosives to do the talking. He's crafting a manifesto, one that claims to explain what the mysterious string of bombings is all about. The technophiles are taking us all.
Wait, did I miss something? Oh no. The education of
The
a killer.
technophiles are taking us all on an utterly reckless ride into the unknown.
Okay.
Back at Harvard in 1958, the United States is experiencing huge shifts in culture. The button-up 50s are drawing to a close, and the nation becomes swept up in the space race, the civil rights movement, the sexual revolution, the environmental movement, the explosion of drug culture, and all the while,
I'm not gonna lie. Despite all the bad stuff that happened back then, I would want to experience the shift, like an actual big shift. Of course, 2025 there's been big shifts, but like back then, a shift was like life changing. You feel me? I would want to talk to somebody that has been through that and like pick their brain a little bit, because I want to educate myself as well, and I want to learn some stuff. You know what I mean? Like the personal experiences.
the Cold War is escalating. The American military is paranoid that communists have developed mind control drugs and brainwashing techniques, and they're eager to catch up. So they're covertly experimenting with ways to manipulate behavior.
Oh,
U.S.
this is the
intelligence
MK
officials
Ultra
are
stuff.
especially interested in developing a perfect truth drug for interrogating enemies,
Yo, 11, Stranger Things, come on.
and they
Come on.
believe LSD might be it. But they're also testing a wide range of ways that psychological manipulation could bend the will of anyone to do whatever the U.S. military wants. They've even enlisted help from the Nazi scientists who experimented on Dachau inmates with hallucinogens and interrogation methods. The military illegally smuggles these war criminals over to get their advice on brainwashing, as part of Operation Paperclip. Over the course of at least 11 years, thousands of Americans are subjected to unethical psychological experiments
Damn.
that include sensory deprivation, hallucinogenic drugs dosed without consent, subliminal messaging, hypnosis, electroshock therapy, and even ice pick lobotomies. And that's just the
Ice-
stuff
wait.
we know about.
What is an ice pick lobotomy? Let me search that up. Ice pick lobotomy. Ice pick lobotomy. Oh shit. A physician named Berkel Theory. One day he performed first ever ice pick lobotomy. What did it do to a person? Following operations: spontaneity, responsiveness, self-awareness, and self-control were reduced. Activity was placed into by inertia, and the people were mostly left emotionally blunted and restricted in their intellectual range. The consequences of the operation have been described as mixed. Like, what does it? I want to know what it actually does. Okay, the result. The result: one California institution superintendent was transformation of a troublesome young woman into who acts if she expected to go home, answered perfectly. Dead up the staff, I never debate a staff. Replace surgical. So wait, so they basically put a stick in somebody's brain, and then it changes their brain. Treatment. Okay, so they're basically changing how their brain is. Okay.
When the project becomes public knowledge in the 1970s, the CIA director orders most of the records to be destroyed. The program is codenamed MKUltra.
Oh yeah.
Many of
Oh,
the
right,
test subjects are
MKUltra.
vulnerable populations, like prisoners and hospital inmates, but also students. Students are prime subjects for these experiments because of their frequent contact with professors who play a big part in MKUltra. Some of the professors know the role they play. Many don't. During the
Wait.
post-war period, the CIA becomes
wait.
the largest employer of
There's no way that they do an MK Ultra thing on this man and he tells on himself, bro. There's no way.
college professors,
No way
and the
he falls
military
into
is
that,
by
bro.
far the biggest source of funding for psychological research. Professors acted as consultants and researchers for military-backed projects. They used their status to encourage their students to participate in experiments, often involving drugs like LSD. Afterwards, they reported back to the government. Harvard becomes heavily involved in Army-sponsored studies. One of the CIA's main men on campus is the superstar psych professor, Henry Murray. Murray is well known for his studies of personality, and since the CIA's beginnings, his theories have influenced how they recruit new agents and how they interrogate suspects. When Murray and young Ted Kaczynski cross paths, Murray is at the end of his career, and he recruits Ted for his final, most elaborate experiments. They're meant to assess the effects of stress and harsh interrogation on gifted male students. Murray wants to know, what will it take to break an educated, intelligent man? The setup is simple. Ted and 21 other students are asked to write an essay about their most deep-seated beliefs. Then they're told they'll discuss their beliefs with a fellow undergrad. The experiment aims to compare the effects of stress on college men who seem psychologically healthy and well-adjusted, with students who seem alienated, pessimistic, and lacking in identity. Ted is most likely recruited for the second group because he's showing signs of depression. Ted's personal essay stands out as the most pessimistic of them all. It suggests that he was already vulnerable before the abusive test began.
Oh damn.
He is also the youngest and the poorest in the group. The students are
Damn.
told this exercise
Bro,
is
they just forced and yo, you know what?
just to study different personalities.
I'll have
In
to
truth,
say.
now the real experiment begins. The essays are handed to lawyers trained in manipulation, who are instructed to attack the values expressed in them. The students endure harsh interrogations in brightly lit rooms. They face calculated personal critiques designed to humiliate and erode their sense of self.
Damn.
All the while, electrodes monitor their stress responses. Later, they have to watch these stressful and humiliating moments on video, over and over again, for 3 years. As Murray himself describes it, the tests were designed to be abusive. He's had a lifelong fascination with pain and stress
They're
and is known to
psychologically
have a
abusing
sadistic
them.
streak.
To try
Plenty
and
of participants will later report the experience to be deeply unpleasant, with lasting
Wow.
trauma. But Ted's responses are the most extreme in every category. Murray's team identifies him as the most traumatized of all.
Well, yeah. He's a poor kid that
Yes.
got bullied.
Ted Kaczynski got MK Ultra'd. You can read all about it at CIA.gov.
Wow.
In consequence, many claim the CIA created the Unabomber, but that's an oversimplification. It's not so easy to prove how much effect the experiments had on Ted's turn to terrorism. None of the other students in the experiment are known to have become killers. Some psychologists believe the experiments were stressful enough to create anger problems in Ted, or even aggravate latent schizophrenia. But other psychologists evaluate him as undeniably sane. Ted himself dismissed the idea that the tests were anything resembling psychological torture. He was very invested in being seen as psychologically healthy until the bitter end. He's taking great pains to not be painted as damaged or crazy. He wanted his murders to be understood in the context of his beliefs, not his personal history. If
Okay.
people saw his actions as a result of trauma or madness, it would invalidate his ideas.
True.
Ideas that formed his last year at Harvard. Ted becomes increasingly disillusioned with the industrial technological system. He comes to believe that technology is slowly destroying humanity and eroding our freedom.
Okay.
He's horrified by widespread
Look.
psychological suffering.
I did hear that one reason that he was doing a bombing because he hated technology. And he wanted to go back in the old days. And he wanted to go back like where technology wasn't crazy and stuff like that.
And how industrial technology has severely damaged the planet. He's certain that it'll only get worse the more technology develops. So anyone who helps
He was
against
right.
technology in any way
He
is
was
the
right.
enemy. Scientists, engineers, business people, what Ted calls the technician class. Ted starts having revenge fantasies and becomes obsessed with how society enforces obedience with psychological controls. He daydreams about breaking away from society and living off the grid. Ted graduates Harvard and goes on to get his
Oh, a
PhD
real
in math
photo.
at the University of
Oh,
Michigan.
shit.
He's quickly establishing himself as a brilliant mathematician and is offered a tenure-track position at UC Berkeley as their youngest professor ever. His students don't like him very much, but he's publishing groundbreaking papers on boundary functions. But Ted resigns one day without warning. He tells his family that he's done with teaching math to future engineers who will advance the industrial technological system and continue destroying the planet. Ted buys a bit of land near Lincoln, Montana, and builds a cabin with his brother. He's ready to escape the advanced technology that surrounded him at UC Berkeley. He wants to live a simpler life, far away from everyone he's ever known.
W brother for helping him, you feel me? Supporting him, you feel me? But like, what makes a he basically wanted to stop people from evolution and like making evolutions. So he decided to start killing random people that could be a part of it. But then we're in 2025 and we got Teslas and maybe next year's the flying cars. Who fucking knows? You know what I mean?
And then, he starts to build his first bomb.
The Unabomber
bombings,
spooks.
we hope to promote social instability, an industrial society, propagate anti-industrial ideas, and give encouragement to those who hate the industrial system.
Right.
And that-
Look, he's doing it. Not okay. Let's not say for a good cause, but like, he wants the world not to go to bad shit. You know what I mean? Like he has a good. I would say his thinking is like everything they're doing is bad for the earth or whatever, which does make sense because the industrial carbons, but the way he did it, nah.
1993, the Unabomber strikes twice after a 6-year hiatus. Two prominent researchers, a computer scientist and a geneticist, receive packages the size of a VHS tape. The bombs detonate upon opening, and both professors are badly injured. Shortly after, the New York Times receives a typewritten letter. It claims credit for the bombs and says the public should expect more to come. In 1994 and 1995, the Unabomber succeeds in killing 2 people with his mail bombs, an advertising executive and a forestry lobbyist. As feared, his explosives have become notably more sophisticated. Bombings are usually accompanied with demands for money or some kind of action. What made the Unabomber so difficult to understand and to find is that his bombs never came with any requests. They seem to be built only to cause fear, injury, and death. 17 years after starting his bombing spree, the Unabomber finally makes his demands known. He writes the New York Times again, announces that he will permanently desist from terrorist activities if they publish a 56-page manifesto. The request kicks off a fierce debate within the FBI and the newspaper, to publish or not to publish. The FBI has a clear policy to not negotiate with terrorists, but they also believe he'll honor his promise and stop killing people. After all, this is what the bombs were seemingly for,
Yeah.
to force people to pay attention to his views. Plus, they still lack leads. If the public reads the manifesto, someone might be able to identify the Unabomber.
That is
So the
true.
manifesto is published. The FBI decides it should just be the Washington Post, though, because it is
Look, his brother probably knew something of. His brother probably remembered, like I'm gonna tell you, his brother probably remembered something in the manifesto. He's like, oh, that sounds like my brother. Reports to police, reports the cabin that they built because he probably doesn't talk to him. Maybe he probably is living in it because he wanted to build it. Boom, he gets caught.
fewer readers, and the newspaper's stands will be easier to surveil. So they think. Interest in the Unabomber is huge. Newspaper sales hit a record high that day, with lines snaking around the block. Across the country, Americans are eager to finally read what the Unabomber has to say. The manifesto opens with an iconic line. The Industrial Revolution and its consequences have been a disaster for the human race. And though the manifesto is an argument that calls for dismantling industrial society, it's also, unwittingly, a self-portrait. Within its pages, the Unabomber has accidentally unmasked himself.
Wait,
David and Ted, though 7 years apart and very different, grew up close and loved each other very much. As adults, they had impassioned philosophical debates by mail and shared a lot of the same views.
okay.
David also worried about technology's destructive effect on humanity. He'd also spent some time living off the grid in a self-made cabin. But David wasn't a killer. When the manifesto is published, he hasn't spoken to his brother in a long time. Ted cut him out when David got married and refused to answer any of his letters. David's wife Linda, a philosophy professor, has a funny feeling about Ted, whom she never met. As the bombings stack up and some of the timings coincide with Ted's travels, Linda tells David, "You've got a screwy brother. Maybe he's the Unabomber." David doesn't want to hear it. Linda doesn't know Ted the way David does. He'd never kill anybody. As a kid, Ted used to cry at the thought of animals getting hurt. But when the manifesto is finally published, David avoids reading it. He doesn't want to admit the similarities. That,
Damn.
like the Unabomber, Ted is an excellent carpenter.
That sucks, bro. Like he doesn't want to believe his brother's doing something, and as he's really doing it. That really does suck. That's true. That's real love. But bro, it comes to a point. You feel me?
And that he had a lifelong
It comes
fascination
to a
with
point.
explosives, and that some of the dates match up perfectly with Ted's travels. David only reads it when Linda insists. His jaw literally drops from the first few lines. The killer, like Ted, also hates technology. As it continues, David recognizes idiosyncratic word choices and logical arguments that Ted uses all the time. There is no escaping the truth. Ted is the Unabomber. So after some moral qualms
I
about
knew
betraying
it.
his brother, David alerts the FBI.
A knock at the cabin
They are
door.
bound to make me out to be a sickie, and to ascribe to me motives of a sordid, or sick type. Many tame conformist types seem to have a powerful need to depict the enemy of society as sordid, repulsive, or sick.
Lincoln, Montana, April
Lincoln, Montana,
1996.
April 1996. With the tip from David, the feds are staking out Ted's cabin. The investigation is meant to be conducted quietly, but they're interviewing local townspeople, trying to collect more evidence on Ted. Right now, all they have is the linguistic similarities in the manifesto and old letters from Ted that David gave the FBI. Not exactly cold, hard proof, enough for a search warrant, but not an arrest. Rumors start to spread around town that Ted Kaczynski, their very own angry hermit, is the Unabomber.
Damn.
The plan is to draw Ted out of his cabin and get inside before he can escape or destroy any evidence.
Mm-hmm.
But they don't know if he has it tricked out with explosives. Nobody would be surprised if he did. Ted has no idea he's under surveillance, so when someone knocks and says some land surveyors need to talk, he believes them and opens the door.
Wow.
He wasn't expecting visitors.
That's crazy.
These days, he's busy with a dirty job. He's in the middle of rasping aluminum blocks to make powder for more bombs.
Wow.
He's covered from head to toe in the dust. He's rail thin because the rabbit hunting was scarce this season. Ted's hair is wild and his clothes are literally rotting off of his body. But what does he care? He's not trying to impress anyone. and he can clean up fast if he needs to blend into society. Too bad for Ted. He'll be photographed in this state, filthy, emaciated, and in severe need of a shave. The image will circulate around the globe and will not help Ted's desire to seem sane. When the feds swoop in, they find 40,000 pages of journals and plans, most written in code.
40,000? Well, no, it was 17 years, but 40,000? Damn.
The code is more complex than anything the FBI had ever seen, more convoluted than codes the KGB used during the Cold War.
That man, yo, he really was on his stuff. Wow. He really was on his stuff. That's insane.
But Ted also left the key to the code in the cabin. Without it, the FBI wouldn't be able to decipher the decades of written confessions that definitively tied Ted to the bombings. They also find a bomb under the bed, ready to be mailed to an aerospace company in Dallas. Now the FBI has all the evidence they need. They lock up the cabin and take Ted to prison. He does not dispute that the journals with the confessions are his. In fact, he wrote them partially so that nobody would try to say he was crazy. Ted's family and his defense team attempt to convince the jury and the world at large that he is mentally ill. They're doing anything they can to avoid the death penalty.
Oh, that's a real photo. It's
frustrates
crazy,
him.
bro.
He tries to fire his lawyers and defend himself. He would rather die than allow his lawyers to plead not guilty by reason of insanity. Ted pleads guilty to his crimes and is sentenced to life in prison. Behind bars, he never stops writing. He publishes 2 books and keeps up a lively correspondence with a wide array of journalists and admirers. He also finally makes some human connections. He strikes up a friendship with Timothy McVeigh, the Oklahoma City bomber who killed 168 people in 1995.
Wait, what?
Ted and McVeigh. He also keeps up a lively correspondence with a wide array of journalists and admirers. He also finally makes some human connections. He strikes up a friendship with Timothy McVeigh, the Oklahoma City bomber who killed 168 people in 1995. Ted and McVeigh are briefly on the same prison block and find they have a lot of views in common before McVeigh is carted off to death row.
Damn.
Ted finds love for the first time in his life. After a lifetime of struggling to connect with women, never going beyond a few kisses, Ted suddenly has dozens of women writing him romantic or salacious letters. But only
Women are attracted to serial killers, bombers, bro, what? This man is getting love letters and he was bombing people? Women are just attracted to I don't even know what to say.
only one captures his heart, a school teacher he calls his lady love. They spend thousands of hours talking by mail or in visiting booths, but they are never able to touch. He writes classical music for her before she dies of lung cancer.
Damn. At least he
Later,
was
Ted
nice,
also
though.
develops cancer. When the condition becomes advanced, he dies by suicide in June 2023 at 81 years old.
Wow. 2020. That was 2 years ago. Oh, wait, no, he was in jail. He couldn't do anything.
A political revolution. Its object will be to overthrow not governments, but the economic and technological basis of the present society. In the decades since his arrest, Ted Kaczynski continues to fascinate and sometimes inspire. The manifesto's central argument is that technological advancements since the Industrial Revolution have robbed people of their freedom and well-being. These advancements are supposedly responsible for widespread psychological suffering and environmental devastation.
I can understand
It's a revolutionary call to dismantle industrial society altogether and warns that technology will inevitably overpower human autonomy. Many of Kaczynski's observations in the manifesto are true. Some of his predictions are prescient, and a lot of the grievances are understandable. It's not hard to find people who are also frustrated with surveillance or sad about environmental destruction. At the time of his capture, Time magazine wrote, "There's a little bit of the Unabomber in most of us." Nowadays, Ted Kaczynski continues to find admirers online, from teens on TikTok, depressed about climate change, half-ironically saluting Uncle Ted, to the extreme right mass murderer, Anders Breivik, who heavily quoted Kaczynski's industrial society in his own manifesto. But even if most people can find parts of the manifesto they agree with, most people are not willing to kill. Kaczynski knew that most people would be repelled by his crimes, but committed them anyway. Those who find the ideas compelling might want to check out Jacques Ellul, the thinker whose ideas most inspired the manifesto. The philosopher never advocated killing. They also should check out Ted Kaczynski's diaries. They lay bare the personal motivations that drove the Unabomber, beyond the manifesto that was polished for public consumption. Technological society really did seem to anger Ted, but Ted was also very, very angry, in general. In his diary, Ted Kaczynski writes that he was happy to kill innocent civilians.
Damn.
He took pleasure in causing people pain. He killed at least
Damn, bro. Like, someone really is sitting here in this world that enjoys hurting people. Like, actually enjoys it. You know how crazy that is? He enjoys killing innocent people. He enjoys hurting innocent people that has nothing to do with him. But yet he still does it because of his views. That says a lot. Like, your brain could really make you do stuff. It can make you it can make you do a lot off of just the little bit of thought. Like, that's how powerful your brain is. And you really got to think about it.
9 dogs just because they barked too loud. He hated leftists. He hated doctors. He hated women. He fantasized about killing them just for rejecting him. He fantasized about killing his neighbors just because they annoyed him, including
Wow.
a toddler. He condemned technology as slavery and glorified simpler times that ran on, actual slavery.
Oh,
Kaczynski wasn't even much of an environmentalist. He made fun of them in his diaries. He littered proudly. He poached illegally. He logged on protected lands. You might get the sense that he only used environmentalism as a post hoc justification for his murders.
100%.
A cynic who identified ecological concerns as the most acceptable excuse for killing.
And that was the hunt for the smartest serial killer. That's crazy because it was only one smartest serial killer too.